Hey everyone, welcome to Two Car Pros. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to change the Serpentine belt for a Chevrolet Impala with a 3.5 liter V6. This is a little bit more advanced as far as Serpentine belts go, but if you just follow it step by step, I'm sure you can do it in your driveway with no jacks or a jack stand, just some basic tools and a little bit of know-how. With all out of the way, let's jump in. The first thing I'm going to do in order to make getting the Serpentine belt in and out easier is I'm going to get this coolant reservoir line off, and before you do that, make sure the engine is completely cooled all the way through. There's no pressure in the cooling system. You can grab the upper radiator hose and push it like this, and it's very soft. That's what you want. You don't want to open a coolant system while it's under pressure. It can be very, very dangerous. So right here on this hose clamp, I'm just going to use some needle nose pliers and pull that back like that. And we can just get the line off of there, pull straight off. Sometimes this will leak coolant. If it does, just find something to plug that so that way it doesn't make a big old mess, or it won't leak very much if it does. And then I'm going to remove these two 10mm nuts that hold the coolant reservoir on. This will give me better access to the Serpentine belt. Some might call it unnecessary, but I think making the job easier on yourself is always worth it. And then the reservoir should be able to come up and out. The little finagling, there we go. So we're right here. That little bolt just there needs to be removed. That way we can get the power steering line off and out of the way, because it essentially traps the Serpentine belt. You won't be able to get it off with that in the way. And that is an 8mm bolt that we need to remove. So that way we can kind of get the Serpentine belt out of there. Get that bolt out of there. And now you can kind of move this line around a little bit. See that? So that gives you a gap where you can get the Serpentine belt out. We'll probably fish it through there in just a minute. So if you're steering directly at the engine and you go to the bottom left of it, so to the left of the crank damper, there is a belt tensioner, and that's what you're looking at. And that's the thing we need to lift up on to relieve tension and get our belt off of there. And you might ask me, how are you doing that? Well, you just grab a regular 3/8 drive ratchet with no socket on it, and it fits into that square down there, just like that. And then you push down on your ratchet on the tightening setting, because this will actuate it up and relieve tension off of the belt. And it is on pretty good, so you're gonna have to push down with considerable force. And you're not removing anything, you're just pushing down. Watch. Just like that. So as I push firmly down on the tensioner, it'll relieve tension off the belt, and I can get it off one of these pulleys, like that. And once I do that, I can let go of it, and you can see that there's no more tension. So you can get it off and remove the belt. So now we can kind of just maneuver the belt off of all of the pulleys. This part's the easy part, and this is why we removed that bolt earlier off the power steering line, because it does have to go through that. Off the AC compressor way down there. There we go. Not too bad. Get off the damper. We should be able to just kind of pull it out. There we go. So I gotta admit, this is probably one of the longer Serpentine belts I've ever dealt with. I've worked on a couple of Ferraris a little bit longer, but this is absurdly long for a Serpentine belt, especially for a V6. This is the replacement unit I have. It's made by Continental. I always spend a little bit on the Serpentine belt, get a reputable company, AC Delco, Continental, something like that, because this is difficult to do, and if these things snap, which they do sometimes due to age, well, you're basically SOS on the side of the road. So you just want to kind of take it out and make sure that it is the same length as the other one, which it is already checked, and it is ready to go back on. And just real quick, I'm going to inspect the old belt, and you can see it is beginning to age and fail. Yes, it'll probably last another 10,000, 20,000 miles, maybe, but why take that chance? You can see the new one is brand new and awesome. Old and bad, new and awesome. So you really should be changing this belt like every 60,000. This belt looks like it probably has like 80 on it. So it's good we're doing this today. So now I'm gonna put the belt back on. Now, I won't lie to you, there's basically no good way to film this. It's going to be difficult. It's going to just be a bunch of hands in darkness and me grunting, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the belt on following this diagram. This is the official diagram from General Motors, and just follow along on that diagram. I've found it easier on this car to put it on the tensioner first and then the damper. And then you just know that the groove side of the belt goes on the pulleys that have teeth on them, or grooves. And then the back side of the belt, the smooth side, goes on the smooth pulleys, and that's all there's really to know. So I'm gonna put this on real quick. So I have the belt on, and the reason I'm focusing on this smooth pulley, because that pulley is gonna be basically your linchpin to getting this job done, and I'll show you why. Because as you put tension on the tensioner, I'll put some on there. I'm not gonna get it all the way off because it's difficult. You can kind of slide it on and off a little bit. See that? So the key to this repair is to route everything the way more or less it's going to be, except for this pulley. Leave this pulley so the belt is just kind of going on the top side of it, not in its final home. Then put a ton of tension on the tensioner, swinging it up into place by pushing down on it. And then you can kind of slip the smooth side on this pulley. It makes it so much easier. Do it that way. And then before you're done, go around with your hands and feel every single pulley. Make sure that all 6 grooves are lined up with the grooves on the belt, making sure that it's not like there's one groove on this edge here, because it will just walk the belt right off and cause all kinds of panic and mayhem. So go ahead and just kind of feel around and make sure all the belts are on correctly. And I can just tell visually by looking at them from here, mine are all good to go. And while we're here, we can replace that little 8mm bolt that holds the power steering line on. There we go. And just snug, just wrist tight with this. No, I don't have a Torx spec. Stop it. And then we can replace our coolant reservoir, just putting it back where we found it. Like that. And then when you're running the coolant line, make sure you're not going into the serpentine belt. Go around the serpentine belt. And also pay attention to if you accidentally dislodge like some of the wiring harness or some other seemingly innocuous thing, because you don't want it to go into the serpentine belt, obviously. And then we can just replace that hose. And then we can replace that hose clamp just like that. As long as it's behind the barb and doesn't come off, it's fine. And then replace the little, I don't know, I guess they're nuts. These little 10mm nuts, and be really gentle because they're not like a typical thread. They're that really coarse thread they use basically only for body panels. And just snug that down like wrist tight. You don't want to go overboard on that. No, I don't have a Torx spec. Like that much, it's good. So that is how to replace your serpentine belt on a 2008 Chevrolet Impala with that 3.5 liter V6. Like I said at the front of the video, this is a little bit on the more challenging side for a serpentine belt, but it's still perfectly doable. If you take this to a mechanic, he's probably going to charge you $200 at least to do this. And in my opinion, this is something basically anybody can do with a little bit of time and some patience. Thank you so very much for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting at all, please consider becoming a member down below by clicking that join button as a direct way to help support the channel. Barring that, a like, comment, and subscription go a huge way in helping my channel out, and I really, really appreciate it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.